Welcome to Two Cares for Pets. I'm Corey Duke, joined by Dr. Jessica Zink with South Tulsa Veterinary Hospital. Thanks for being here. Oh my goodness. She is a gem. She is so sweet. We've got Kewpie here today. She's 3 years old. A cane corso mixed with a poodle.
Yep. She is a very interesting looking baby, but she's beautiful and she's incredibly sweet. She's very strong, but not to the point of being obnoxious. She just doesn't know her strength.
Right. Yeah. She doesn't realize how strong she is.
Yeah.
I mean, she's cuddly. She's sweet. Her temperament is so chill and relaxed. Usually when you come into a new studio and I mean, even people and you don't know what's going on, it can be a little overwhelming, but she's handling it just like a pro. So we will talk about her in just a little bit. But one of the big things we want to talk about is ear infections this time of year when it comes to our pets. It's a big deal right now.
It is. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's already started in my practice. We've started with the constant, every other appointment is another ear infection. So I thought it would be a good thing to talk about today.
Yeah. So what do we do? How do we know when our pet has an ear infection and what can we do to help them?
So, first things that you're going to look for are going to be, are they shaking their head? Are they scratching at their ears? And, like you had mentioned earlier, but also a lot of folks that have dogs that have recurrent sort of ear infection issues, a lot of people can really smell that.
Mm-hmm.
They can smell that coming on. And so if you're starting to see any of those things or start to smell that evidence, then, it's time to get that evaluated.
And trust me, you will know when you smell it. You definitely will. My dog has had plenty of ear infections. So yeah, I mean, it's like you're talking about this time of year. So what can our vets do to help diagnose this problem and treat it?
So whenever we suspect that there's an ear infection, obviously the vet is going to look in there within the ear canal itself. They're going to be looking for things like a lot of redness, any sort of exudate or discharge that's present. So if there's a lot of, kind of brownish or yellowish kind of goo that's in there, a lot of times we'll get a sample of that so that we can determine what kind of species we're dealing with. Are we dealing with yeast? Are we dealing with bacteria? Are we dealing with a mixed infection? So it's both. And so that gives us some great clues as to what we need to do to treat it. But yeah, the problem with allergies is that they're so very common because Oklahoma is a very high allergy state. And most of these ear issues are brought on by allergies.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of that's going to be the environmental allergies that you get from
Excuse you.
from the same kinds of environmental allergies that people get. So the pollens and the grasses and the weeds and the trees and all the different things that we do, but their main allergy organ is the skin, and the ears are an extension of that. So just make sure that you're on top of bringing them in as soon as you can, because obviously long-term ear disease can lead to long-term damage and hearing damage.
And it's tough out there, especially with all this gusty wind. I mean, all those allergens blowing around.
Oh, yeah.
So the big question is, how do we prevent that? Because we know allergies, they're going to be around. We can't do anything about that. But how can we prevent these ear infections from kind of taking hold of our pets?
So with ear disease in general, so you've got kind of some underlying issues that a lot of times have to be managed. So if you've got a dog that has a lot of hair in the ears all the time, you've got to make sure that hair is plucked out, because a lot of those pets are also getting groomed regularly. And so water that's sitting in an ear canal with a lot of hair, obviously that stays wet for long periods of time. And so that's just a perfect environment to grow things. But usually, even in a dog that has a lot of hair that's present, they're not always going to have these recurrent ear infections unless there's an underlying issue. And so that leads us to allergies. Come here, baby. Come on back. Hi. So when they have allergies, it's really a management issue and not a cure. And so there's several different ways that we can do that. And that's going to be, sort of various medications that we use, whether injectable, whether oral. Whether visiting with a dermatologist is a good option. That can be a really nice thing if you're interested in doing things like antigen therapy, which, just like what they do in people. But it's, as long as you have a realistic expectation that it's management and not cure, then at that point you're going to have a lot better outlook on making sure that your pet is staying as comfortable as possible.
And that's exactly what we want. So again, we want to mention that this is Kewpie. She's 3 years old. She's available for adoption at Legacy of Hope Dog Rescue. We'll throw that up there on your screen. She's just an absolute sweetheart. She has been wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today, Kewpie. You were such a good girl. We'll see you guys next time.